Andrew Hulshult left a comment on my video covering his involvement or potential with Dark Ages and Ancient Gods soundtracks. It made some things more clear to me, and it will answer your questions and some cool info that you won't hear anywhere else but from the man himself. He said that yeah, it was roughly a 30-ish day deadline for the musical in the first DLC. The pandemic was a crazy time for everyone I worked with. New Blood, Bounding Box, id, Blazing Bit, Indefatigable, Phoenix Games, 3D Realms, it was a crazy time for every developer. And we saw that too in Doom Eternal because the DLCs came out within that span of the year and the game was even delayed at the time that COVID was coming. There was a lot going on there, but to have that 30-ish day period, one thing that I noticed people were saying were like, wow, that's not a lot of time. And then the first thing that comes to people's mind is, was he crunched? What about David? Was he crunched as well? Well, Andrew goes on to say that there was no pressure creatively from the studio at all. They let us go whatever direction that we felt was right, and I think that we both really appreciated that. We would get feedback and slight direction nudges from Hugo and Chad from time to time, and that was always helpful. I still reference a piece of music that Hugo mentioned to me from the movie Heat when I work on projects these days. See, a lot of times there is crunch when you're making games, and you wonder how the developers feel, and are they really getting the adequate rest? Are they able to put their all to it because they're able to get that rest that they need? And it's interesting here because a month doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it was enough to get everything done at a decent, fair rate and be able to produce the soundtracks they needed for the 3 levels of the first DLC and 4 for the second. And it's interesting too because id Software, as we expected here, was good by their side. They always helped them and made sure that they had what they needed and didn't push and pressure them, because if you're creative, if you ever made any kind of music, you'll know that the pressure and the time, you do need it to be able to really put out your best work. And that's really good that they were able to mix the business and creative side to give them time to do what they needed to do and really make it shine. And you know, it's a testament to that, because you can't tell like, oh, this was made only 30 days. No, it's good work regardless of the time frame that they were placed under. He also said that we brought zero material from the past to the Ancient Gods. It was all fresh 100% in both dev cycles. I did leave a comment in my video mentioned about the Decay track from Proteus. Maybe that could be an influence. I wasn't really wanting to imply that it was reused or rehashed, so I think I maybe wasn't as clear as I should have been in that regard. So just knowing that, not only did they do that in this 30-day time frame, they did it in such a way without pressure from id Software, and they were able to bring it all through fresh, 100% based off of the game at hand. That means they were able to, ideally, this is my speculation here, see what it was, play or get insight from Hugo, as they said they worked very closely with, to bring everything to fruition. Andrew then goes on to say that he would do it all over again in a heartbeat, because both David and id taught me so much during both DLCs that ultimately changed the way I approach music to this day. Creating that much music that people still talk about in that time frame felt like a test that I needed to take as an artist, and I wear it like a badge of honor. See, that is something really good to hear, and I made a video some time ago saying, hey, good job, id, not crunching everything. And ultimately, if you have a deadline, you do need to hit that deadline. If there's a business, they have metrics, they have, I believe it's called KPIs, whatever it is, things they need to hit by certain time frames, even for those above them. And understand that it takes time, but also to make that time not full of pressure is a really good thing to hear. And it's coming from the man himself, who actually physically worked on the tracks. So you know that you're getting it directly from the source. And that's why I'm very appreciative of him really clearing this up. I know he said I didn't have to make this, but I really feel like that I do the due diligence and the justice by doing that and really expounding upon my thoughts on it. So I did address the burnout, and he actually come out and spoke on it. And this is a really interesting comment here. I think you really like it. He said, I was burnt out when I was asked to submit a demo because of how many obligations I had at the time with other developers, and I just never really found the time to create a demo. It had nothing to do with the tag development cycles. I really enjoyed my time on those, but I had big obligations at the time and needed some time to cool down before I could refocus on something as big as Doom. See, that's the thing. No matter how much you work on something creatively, whether that is art, music, voiceover, or just anything, any type of your hobby, you can burn out, and you really do want to avoid that. If you feel that coming on, you do want to avoid it because you're not going to be able to present your best work at that time, and it's just going to become a drag. Something that you feel like is fun, something that, whether you're getting paid for it or not, is enjoyable for you. You really need to be able to recognize that burnout when it comes and take the proper steps to mitigate that in order to really put forth your best. And when you're getting on a project as big as Doom, you really want to bring that work, because everybody knows Doom is, the meme is, it's just a game with free album, but the music has such an integral piece in this game franchise's history to be able to follow in the footsteps of those Mick Gordon, Bobby Prince, Aubrey Hodges, and really deliver something that will go down in history forever and have your name attached to it. You want that to be good, and you do not want to let that fail. And he recognized that as far as what's coming up in the future and was able to hit that. And it wasn't related to the Ancient Gods development cycles. It was just every other obligation, all the small things that add up on the plate, the parts and the pieces that create the greater and full whole. He said that my job is to make sure that every developer that I work with who crosses the finish line has the best music and sound that I can make for them, no matter how big or small. At the time, I had about 3 games to ship, and I had just been asked to be the composer for the movie adaptation of Iron Lung with Markiplier and David Szymanski. That's a lot. That's way more than just one plate, you can see here, because when you look at this, something really sticks out to me in his comment here is that he wants to make the best he can make no matter how big or small. That means that if you are a smaller creator and you bring him on for your work, he wants to do such a good job as he does for the bigger AAA work. And that's a good testament to his work ethic because, as I said earlier, your name is attached to the creations that you make. And so if you're producing worse work for someone that may not be able to pay as much or may not have big of an audience, that just doesn't really set well in a lot of people's eyes. And it's a huge, beacon, I guess, of respect, if that's even the way I could put it, to be able to say like, hey, I'm going to give you the best work no matter how big your game is. And that's a really good thing to hear from him. He said that, so it was really a tough call to go focus on a demo for Doom or try to score a film for the first time. I wanted to do them both, but I knew that was out of the question. And that's something you also have to be able to do is really realize where your boundaries are. And that's not to say create an artificial ceiling on your abilities to say, oh, I don't think I can do this, or I want to do this, but I can't. But in reality, if you push yourself, if you really go to the fullest extent of your abilities that you could do something like that, then yeah, you want to do it. Just like video game difficulty, if you want to beat the nightmare difficulty and you're the I'm Too Young to Die or Aspiring Slayer, you really push for it, you will be surprised at the things that you can accomplish with it. So he understood that to really give us all the best 100% to both of these entities, it would require too much of him mentally, physically, everywhere. So he had to make a decision. Focus on a new demo for Doom or try to do a film for the first time based off a game. So he said, I went with my gut and I signed on for the film because it was a brand new challenge, which turned out to be great because it opened a conversation between Marty and myself about finishing IDDQD, which is his classic Doom album, and having it be a part of the original Doom and Doom 2, which is just an incredible set of circumstances in time that ended up working out so well. So it's really kind of a best of both worlds situation here. Like, yes, he's only but one man, as King Novik would say, and he went with the new experience and the gut, while also not burning those bridges with his software so that if something would come up in the future, they know he's interested, they know he's talented, they know that he can bring it because he already did before, and he could do it again. And it rolled around just so perfectly that he could with the classic Doom 1 and Doom 2. So that's why it's good that he was able to recognize that and to be able to adapt to that situation. He said that I hope possibly one day David and I could work on it on a large scope single player campaign if they think we're a good fit for it. That would be crossing one more thing off the bucket list. And yeah, that's the thing, like they would be a good fit for it because we saw even in the 3 to 4 tracks of each one, totaling 7, that they really delivered what they had said they would and a great set of music in the time they did. He said that all that being said, I love the Dark Ages and I think Finishing Move did a really great job with the music. Cheers to a decade of amazing Doom games and a killer trilogy. And see, that's one thing that I love too, is that you're able to respect other artists' work and say that it's good stuff, even if it's different or even if it's something that you've done before, and understanding that everyone brings something different to the table musically in order to not just copy those that came before them, and hopefully those that come after don't copy as well, but bring their own spin on it. Everyone leaves a different footprint on the Doom franchise as the composer, and I address that here in a response critique video that says Mick Gordon isn't Doom. Click it on your screen here so you don't miss out. There's a lot of fun insight here and some really good stuff, and I'll see you there.